Chapter 26. Spiritual Amnesia. There are many reasons people go back to a life of addiction. Since this isn't a book on addiction recovery or behavioral health, I'll focus on just one, the one which applies to the purpose journey. Like me with my tobacco addiction, they had simply forgotten. These men had forgotten just how bad things had become before the stretch of sobriety. Odd, is it not? Yes, they forgot the blackness of the gutter they once crawled around half dead. The passage of time softened the experience in their memory, almost fogging it up. When Satan finally came calling, for most people after release, tempting them again with their choice addictions, these men could only recall the supernatural highs of past experiences and were hazy about the devastating lows. It might seem strange to you, but I've seen this time and time again. I'm sure you are wondering why I'm talking about drugs and addiction. What could addiction possibly have to do with our purpose? Many things actually, but most I won't touch on. No, it's not the drug habit itself that I wish to point out. The addiction is just a real-world illustration. It's the habit of forgetting that I want to examine. When the children of Israel had completed their wilderness journey and were about to cross the Jordan River into their promised land, Moses gathered them together and spoke to them for a length. The major advice Moses gave them was, "Do not forget the bondage you came from, and do not forget the Lord, who not only freed you but brought you to this good land. So it shall be when the Lord your God brings you into the land of which he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give you large and beautiful cities which you did not build, houses full of all good things which you did not fill, hewn out wells which you did not dig, vineyards and olive trees which you did not plant. When you have eaten and are full, then beware lest you forget the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage." Deuteronomy chapter 6, 10, 15. This advice applies to them back then just as much as it applies to you and me today. Here's another great scripture. "To you it was shown that you might know that the Lord himself is God. There is none other besides him. Out of heaven he let you hear his voice, that he might instruct you. On the earth he showed you his great fire, and you heard his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved your fathers, therefore he chose their descendants after them, and he brought you out of Egypt with his presence, with his mighty power, driving out from before you nations greater and mightier than you, to bring you in, to give you their land as an inheritance, as it is this day." Deuteronomy chapter 4, 35, 40. A reminder of where they had come from. This next scripture is a reminder of where the children of Israel were going, and the one who brought them there. "For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains and springs, that flow out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, of vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey, a land in which you will eat bread without scarcity, in which you will lack nothing. When you have eaten and are full, then you shall bless the Lord your God for the good land which he has given you." Deuteronomy chapter 8, 7-19. This following scripture is a warning to remember who it was that gave them this opportunity at a new life, and it all applies to us today. "Beware that you do not forget the Lord your God by not keeping his commandments, his judgment, and his statutes, which I command you today, lest, when you have eaten and are full, and have built beautiful houses and dwell in them, and when your herds and your flocks multiply, and your silver and your gold are multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, when your heart is lifted up, and you forget the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage, who led you through that great and terrible wilderness, who fed you in the wilderness with manna, then you say in your heart, 'My power and the might of my hand have gained me this wealth,' and you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you power to get wealth." Deuteronomy 8, 11, 19. Here is a final scripture which is about what happens when we do forget. "Then it shall be, if you by any means forget the Lord your God and follow other gods, and serve them and worship them, I testify against you this day that you shall surely perish. As the nations which the Lord destroys before you, so you shall perish, because you would not be obedient to the voice of the Lord your God." Deuteronomy 8:20. Perishing in the promised land is, in the spiritual purpose context, speaking about the death of one's purpose journey. This is not meant to be confused with literal death, although the death part can sometimes be the real possibility of living a harmful, sinful lifestyle. In the next video, I'll show what all of this means for you and me today, and why it is vital to our purpose journey.